Say yes every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are joined by the incredible Juliet Dillon, coach, love, and founder of Renovation Love Sanctuary. With 25 years of mortgage industry experience, Juliet has learned how to be tough, gritty, and confident. You know, you have to have tough skin to survive the storms in this business. However, in recent years, she has leaned into the softer side of empathy. She embraced the concept of loving those around you, even and especially the ones you work with. Juliet, thank you so much for joining us today. And on Wednesday Wisdom, we always started off with, we go through life and we learn different lessons. We get these little nuggets that we apply. And I love to hear, what is something that you've learned and something you've applied to your life that you want to share with everyone listening today?
Such a great question. And it's funny that the answer that came to mind, actually, it's not what I was expecting. So I would say my fifth grade volleyball coach wrote me a letter, very special letter. And he told me that you always give it your all. And it was a message that stayed with me forever because I was the one person on the team, even though we were terrible. I gave it my all, no matter what was going on. I was a good teammate. And I just always kept trying, and I would do that with everything else in my life from then until now.
Wow. Isn't it amazing? Like, number one, you were able to go back to that exact moment, right? Like, regardless of when we hear these things, right? And I think, I think about how people say pour into others. That coach poured into you to a way that sat with you in all of the rest of your life and beyond. And now the beauty of that is that now other people are hearing that. And listen, there's nothing new in hearing that. We all have always heard people say, give it your all, right? But it's that moment when you really stop and think, and I'm trying to think of the celebrity and I can't think of the name, but there was a celebrity that told the story about how he was a janitor at one point while he was trying to become an actor. And he said, I was always told, whatever that job is you're doing, doesn't matter what it is, give it your all and be your best, because those lessons you learn by being that best volleyball player or teammate, right? We know the value of being that great teammate that can be applied in every aspect of our lives. So Juliet, tell us a little bit of, okay, you follow this philosophy. How are you applying that to your life at this moment?
Well, I definitely still give it my all. And I would say for a long time, it was something that I really wrestled with because I felt like I'm over giving. I'm giving my all, but the people around me are just like feeding off of the all that I'm giving. And no one else is putting in the same effort. So that can actually be very unhealthy when you're in that state of overgiving. So it's kind of a recent discovery that I need to pull back a little bit and stop overgiving, but still always do my best. And that kind of translated more into what I would say is, and I think this is a quote by Emile Coué, maybe it's like a French name, but it's every day in every way, I'm getting better and better.
Ooh, I love that. And listen, I need to go a little bit deeper into what you just said, right? Because it is so true. And I live a lot by exactly the same philosophy that you are stating, right? And I have always said I'm on this earth to give. I'm on this earth to serve, right? Like I have been given certain gifts and I believe that I'm going out of this life empty. There's not going to be one thing left. Everything is given away because that's my mission, right? But I understand exactly what you're saying. There have been many times where you're like, man, I keep feeling like I'm pouring and pouring and pouring in one direction, but man, maybe I'm empty the other way. Like meaning that you have to be refilled. We all know that when you're pouring out, something needs to be pouring back to you, because otherwise you're depleted. And you can't go through life. At the end of life, you want to be depleted, but not during life. You want to make sure there's a healthy balance. So how have you done that, Juliet? How have you made it so there is that healthy balance to where you're not swaying to one side or the other?
Yeah, I would say a lot of unlearning has happened for me in the last few years. You know, you go through life
Okay.
thinking that you're going to have somebody else fill you up, whether that's in work or in relationship or with your children, although that's a long, long shot that your children are going to fill you back up. But, you know, you think that it's going to come from, outside of yourself. And the truth is that it comes from you. And so I really learned to take care of myself, to love myself, and to pour back in. I'm the one that pours back into me now. And going through that journey is where I arrived at where I'm at today, is that I feel like I found that fountain of youth, that it's the answers are all here when you go deeper, when you go inside to yourself, to your faith, and really, like you do with serving. Serving is the key to everything, but you still have to take care of yourself too.
100%. You're of no use, right? You're of no use if you don't have that strength, that inner strength. So 100%. Now, we spoke about your company in the introduction, Renovation Love Sanctuary. Please share. What is that? Where did that come from? What were you, what was that light bulb moment where you're like, this is what I'm doing? And please share with the audience more about that.
Yeah. This is one of those what I would call crazy ideas. And I think there's a movie somewhere where they're like, I just love crazy ideas. And that's where this came from. I started dreaming about, I would actually say one of the books that I read is called Love and Work by Marcus Buckingham. I'm a huge reader. And that really led me to figure out, okay, what are the things I love in my life? What makes me really happy? What are the activities that I do where I lose track of time because I'm just so happy doing them? And I kind of came up with this whole new path, and I started figuring out that my purpose is love, like love itself, not only loving myself, but teaching others to love, building them up. And I drove by this piece of land one day and I fell in love with it. And I said, okay, God, well, I don't know why you're having me fall in love with this $5 million property with horses on it that I can't afford. So it just became one thing after the next. I felt magnetized to this land, and in my pursuit to figure that out, landed at Renovation Love Sanctuary, where I can create the space for people to come and do glamping or a hotel stay and escape from the everyday life and the stress, and create a place where you can disconnect and you can relax. And maybe you take that little extra step to learn about yourself or to love yourself or just to unplug. But it's really a sanctuary where there's healing with horses and animals and agritourism, beautiful forest around, and just an awesome place where it feels like you're escaping somewhere, yet you're really only minutes away from suburbia in Chicago.
Wow. So what year? Take me back. When did this occur?
This is actually still in the works. So this is a startup. This has all happened for me over the last year. I've been building with this idea. And so I'm in the phase of finding investors to make this a reality. But in the meantime, going through that process, I leaned into the coaching side of it. And I realized that my whole life, even in mortgages, I'm always the coach. I'm always the one who comes into a situation and I'm giving this advice and we're talking, and I have people nickname me coach without solicitation. And so I thought, well, let me just lean into that because I want to create this place for love. And there is going to be some need to have someone walk through that with you. It's so easy to say, just love yourself. Okay, now what? What do you do?
You use the right words there, because you hear it all the time and you're like, where do I start? What's step one of that, right? Because it's easier said than done. And listening to you when you were just describing it, you said the words unplug a few times, right? Like I can tell that's very important to you because you mentioned that multiple times. Yeah. And I think, we can all agree the world has changed a lot since smartphones, right? Not necessarily cell phones, but smartphones, right? Now that we have computers in our pockets, and we never disconnect, the world has changed. And I think at this stage in the world, we're all realizing there has to be some type of unplugging, and there has to be some type of connection to self, not just connection to device, right? Because we're all connected to the device that we never leave. Right. But you're bringing me back to, I interviewed a woman once, and she did, I can't remember how many miles she did, but she did this journey where she walked, and it was for multiple miles without any device, meaning she wasn't listening to music. She wasn't listening to a podcast, wasn't listening to nothing. So she walked, and I don't remember, let's say it was 3 miles with nothing but her own thoughts. And she said that when she started it, it was scary. Like, she was like, so many thoughts were running through her brain. She didn't know how to stop it. Like, it was like a runaway train. And then the longer she did it, she was calm. And she realized she could process that and she could deal with that. If one moment it was anxiety because she's trying to, create this sanctuary and she's trying to get investors, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, who's going to invest? Who's going to do this? How do I ask? How do I bring this vision? And then all of a sudden, the longer you walk with yourself, you start to calm. And you start to see things a little bit differently. And so what you're describing is kind of a journey of that, right? Exactly. That at first it's overwhelming and it's scary, but then by the end of it, it comes back to you and who you are. And that's beautiful. So what's your ETA? What are you thinking in terms of timing?
Well, that would be up to the universe at this point. I mean, I'm hoping sooner than later, but the reality is that these things can take time. In the meantime, I'm still very plugged in with mortgage. I still am super passionate about helping loan officers scale their business, come up with processes and plans, and help them to succeed. So I've got a lot of moving parts right now, but people can find me at renovationlove.com. And one thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to explain the name. So Renovation Love, when you Google it, it thinks it's a home repair service, which makes sense because of the word renovation. That's actually where I came up with it. So instead of renovating a house, if your body was the house, we're fixing the inside. We're renovating the interior and taking a deeper look to change that from the inside out. So Renovation Love, and that's when you can have a Renovation Love journey.
Oh, I love it. So also speak about, you said you're working with loan officers and helping them. So tell us a little bit about that and the coaching that you do.
Yes. So this is a recent shift for me, and I haven't completely embraced it yet, but that's really where I'm realizing that over my time in mortgage, I really have my own special brand of the way of doing things that can help others. And so I'm really looking into more of a recruiting role where I can build people up and still doing exactly what I've talked about that RLS embodies, but doing it in mortgage, helping people to be the best version of themselves. And as a loan officer, if you don't take the time to refill your own tank, then you're not showing up every day as the best you can be. And think about, if you put that time into yourself, what that could do for your business.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, amazing things. And of course, it's funny you said it's up to the universe to kind of make that happen. It's funny you use those words, because my last question that I always end with, I speak about my little magic wand, but the reason why I say that is that I believe that when we speak things into the universe, we plant the seeds for the future of what's going to be born. So that's the reason why I always end on this question. And the question is, and I'm thinking you're going to tie it back to what you just spoke about, but maybe not. So if you had unlimited resources and unlimited knowledge, and you could accomplish and bring anything to life, what would it be, Juliet?
It would be for every person to know that they are deeply, deeply loved.
Oh, I love that. Well, you just planted that. And you just shared that. And, that word love, I think we need to be a little more open to saying it over and over and over again. I don't
Yeah.
think we share that word enough. And I think it's a beautiful gesture and a word that we all should realize. Listen, if nothing else, love life, right? If nothing else, love yourself and continue to spread that love in many, many ways. I love it. Juliet, thank you so much for joining us. And please share with the audience, how can they learn more about you and everything that you're working on?
So you can find me on LinkedIn at Juliet Patrice Dillon. And then my website is www.renovationlove.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much and keep shining bright.